All right, joining me right now to discuss, Jessica Malati-Rivera, infectious diseases expert and the science communication lead for COVID tracking project. So good to see you, Jessica. So, federal officials, had pledged to administer 20 million doses before the year's end, but the latest CDC data, showing that less than 3 million Americans have been vaccinated so far. How concerned are you?
I'm very concerned about this. Honestly, we are short by a lot. I just checked the tracker this morning and those numbers haven't changed this whole weekend. And I understand it is a holiday weekend, so there might be a lag in some of that data being reported. But, the very unglamorous part of vaccine campaigns is stuff like scheduling and staffing. And we've just had a holiday, and these are a lot of logistics to be giving to overstretched hospitals and healthcare facilities to manage right now. Moving at this pace could mean that it would take years to get the kind of vaccination coverage that we need to really get herd immunity.
Wow. So when we hear U.S. officials who say, the United States will not follow the UK's decision to, delay that second dose of the coronavirus vaccine in order to dispense, first doses to as many as possible, are you encouraged by that, or do you think the UK is onto something?
No, I am encouraged by what Dr. Fauci said, because I think we need to be consistent about the data. What we know from the data from Pfizer and Moderna clinical trials is that to achieve those 90% plus efficacy rates, you need both doses. You need to prime and boost the immune system to get to that response. And we can't risk deviating from what we know from the data, because we don't actually have data to show what the long-term immune response will be from just one single dose. So I think we need to be consistent based on the data and move forward as such.
And then, this is a real setback when you hear about, this accusation of violence. A former pharmacist arrested in Wisconsin on Thursday after removing 57 vials of the Moderna vaccine from a hospital refrigerator that resulted in more than 500 vaccine doses being destroyed. He's now facing 3 felony charges after officials say the man remove the vaccines intentionally. The hope is this is an anomaly. No one else is going to do something like this. But to hear that this would happen is an amazing setback and very discouraging. How do you digest this?
Yeah, it's deeply, deeply disturbing to see that. I do hope that it is an anomaly, but unfortunately we are seeing reports from a number of states where healthcare facility workers are refusing to take the vaccine. And that is an indication that vaccine hesitancy is a pervasive problem in many communities. It is not a monolithic group.
Is that really influential in your view? When you've got medical people who say, I'm not going to take it, what message does that convey to the masses?
Oh, it's very, very influential, because we're talking about, teaching people to follow the science and follow science leaders and people who have positions of power. And in this position, a pharmacist should know about the clinical data. But, again, we have seen vaccine hesitancy and vaccine misinformation come out of many sources, including people in the healthcare community. Now, I want to emphasize that this is a loud minority when it comes to scientists who believe this misinformation, but it also should tell us that we have a lot of work to do beyond just the logistics of vaccine campaigns. We need to be working on the logistics of vaccine education and vaccine communication, because we are seeing really troubling trends of refusal from all kinds of populations.
And then this on top of, and we talked about it at the top, the rollout of the vaccine, it hasn't met the mark. The goal of 20 million by December 31st, and still it's something like, 3 million vaccines that have actually been administered. So, do you call this rollout being, disastrous, just ineffective? And is there any way to make up for lost time?
It is a setback and it is disappointing. I really think that, states were kind of left to fend for themselves in some ways. As we mentioned earlier, with the way Florida is handling their distribution, it's kind of patchwork. Each state's kind of doing their own thing, creating their own prioritization groups, and not every state is the same when it comes to infrastructure and the ability to manage all these logistics. They could have been set up for success earlier, and I think it might take several weeks for some of the vaccine sites and respective campaigns to be fully set up and operational. I think the fact that it happened again during the holidays is what's causing a lot more delay.
All right. Jessica Malati-Rivera, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it. And thanks for your work that you are pouring into trying to convey, some strong messaging out there to help everybody understand.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.